And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. Phone number is 888-659-3727. That's 888-659-3727. Great to be back, by the way. I was out of town. Obviously, the guys that wrote me in a panic last week because I wasn't live on the air. I wanted to go away. I had shit to do. I recently had a birthday. I needed to get away. We put out a good, recorded show last week for you guys. But there are times when I need to do things in life. So please forgive me. I know there are a couple of guys. One guy wrote me saying, you only have to work one day a week. Why weren't you there? I'm thinking to myself, this guy actually thinks that I work one day a week. But anyway, it's great to be back. 888-659-3727. We are live from Los Angeles, live from TBT Studios here in my home in Los Angeles. Just hanging out, doing the Bald Show. If you're new to the broadcast, don't know who I am or why I'm here, I am a consumer advocate and educator for men and women dealing with hair loss. And as insane as that sounds, I have been doing this broadcast and been doing what I do, broadcast about 14 years, what I do for about 15 years. Probably should have turned off my air conditioner. But the truth is there are hundreds of thousands of people who wake up every day, about 200,000 people who wake up every day realizing for the first time that they're losing their hair. And where are they going to turn? What are they going to do? Sadly, what they do now is they go online and they Google hair loss treatments or hair transplants or whatever they're looking for. And they may run into, advertisements. They may run into, companies or even individuals selling, ebooks claiming that they have found the cure for hair loss in their basement, and they're writing about it and providing this information for $49.95 to all of you out there who are dealing with hair loss. Now, when you look up these terms, you're going to find the American Hair Loss Association. You're going to find other great resources like WebMD that actually have qualified information, real information about hair loss and the world of hair loss and the hair loss industry. I'm going to have to turn off this air, Andrew, by the way. But most people want to be fixed right away, especially when you're talking about guys dealing with hair loss. Guys don't necessarily want to educate themselves. They want to fix what's happening to them. And sadly, that is why, in my view, so many thousands upon thousands of vulnerable hair loss sufferers get ripped off, disfigured, misled every single day of the week. And that's what this broadcast is for. We are here to guide you in the safest possible direction when it comes to anything and everything hair loss. And we're also here to provide you with a safe place to talk about your issues, a place where, men and women can come and talk about an issue that society doesn't allow us to talk about. That air conditioner is going to drive me nuts. It is about 100 degrees in here, though. So, if you guys can deal with the sound, then maybe I'll leave it on. Over the years, I've been in touch with literally thousands of hair loss sufferers through this broadcast. Thousands more through our resources, through email, through now our baldtruthtalk.com, our message forum. Thousands of people interact every single day. And obviously the one common thread is that we want to do something about our hair loss. But, this program isn't just about finding solutions to treat your hair loss. Obviously, we don't sell any products or services, but it's not just about getting your hair back or stopping your hair loss. It's also about, and I think even more importantly, it's about living life as a hair loss sufferer. And in many cases, there really is no treatment that works for, that's going to work for everybody, or in all cases, I should say. Some people will be treated, if they make the right move, they're going to be able to treat their hair loss. They're going to be able to slow the progression of their hair loss. They're going to be able to get a great hair transplant or wear a great hair piece. And then there are those who are not going to be so lucky. There are those who are not going to benefit from the treatments that we have available to us today. But it's important for everyone to know that there's life after hair loss. That even if things don't work out for you, or even if you decide, you know what, I'm going to listen to this guy for a while, I'm going to go online and see what's happening, but I'm not going to do anything because everything that's out there is really not palatable to me. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with just shaving your head and moving on with your life. And I got to tell you, man, if you, especially you young guys, if you are young, that should be your first option. Give it a shot. See if you can deal with it. Guys who contact us who are looking into surgery at the age of 25, 26, 27 years old or younger, I think to myself, holy shit, they have no idea what they can be getting themselves into. And as much information as we provide to try to let them know that surgery is not for everybody and surgery is a last resort. And that depending on the surgery you choose, no matter what the surgery is, you are stuck with that surgery for life. For life. Young guys who contact us and say they don't have, they want to get a hair transplant, but, they have a choice between FUE and FUT, and right now they don't have the money for FUE, so they want to have FUT. They're 25 fucking years old. I have to say that if you're considering having a traditional harvest, minimum, and I've said this for years, wait till you're 35 years old so that you're mature enough to make that decision and understand what you're getting involved in. Because once you are cut, you are cut. Now, with that said, lives are changed for the better through hair transplant surgery. There are thousands of happy patients out there. But there are also many guys who go into it without fully understanding the entire scope and possible pitfalls of surgery. And that's why I say, if you can't deal with a possible bad outcome, do not even fucking consider having surgery. If you can't deal, even if you think you're going in for so-called scarless surgeries, high-end FUE, whatever it is, if you can't deal with the possibility of being disappointed, don't do it. If you don't understand about all the potentials of scarring or unwilling to accept a bad outcome if it does happen, don't do it. Don't do it. So this is for you young guys out there, because very recently, for whatever reason, we had an influx of guys actually under the age of 25 who have been contacting us through the American Hair Loss Association, through the Bald Truth, and through the IHRS. And our message is surgery is a last resort. 888-659-3727. If you have any questions, concerns, want to talk about hair loss, want to talk about what's going on in the world of hair loss, want to talk about your life as a hair loss sufferer, please give me a call. Go get yourself a cocktail. This is a place for guys and for girls to relax, to enjoy themselves, to unwind a little bit, and to talk about a subject that nobody wants to fucking talk about. 888-659-3727. Now, have not seen if the rig is working completely yet with the phone system. We try to upgrade some stuff and make some changes Hopefully cable is working now. They said that it should be. It seems like my stream is pretty good. But we'll see. The phone could be fucked up. So, we're going to do our best. We have a full board. Let's see what we can do. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Good evening, Spencer. Coming in loud and clear.
Awesome, man. How are you?
Okay, thank you. If you don't mind, I'd like to take a minute to read this poem I came across. I wanted to devote it to my nephew, especially who's listening to the show right now. He's suffering terribly, this devastating disease. The millions of hair loss sufferers who are now listening.
You got
the
it,
title
John.
of the poem is Don't Quit. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, and you want to smile but have to sigh, when care is pressing, you're down a bit. Rest, but you must not quit. Success is failure turned inside out. The silver tint of the cloud of doubt. And you never can tell how close you are. It may be near when it seems afar. So stick to the fight when your heart is hit. It seems worse. When things seem the worst, you must not quit. Thank you, Spencer.
My name is Joe from Staten Island.
Excuse me.
Would you like to may reiterate it?
My name is
Have you heard it? Excuse me.
My name is
Joe from Staten Island.
Joe, that was beautiful. I don't know whether to cry or what. Very touching.
No, I'm not an author. I'm not claiming. I'm not a plagiarist. I didn't author it, but I picked. It's something I have a plaque that I read every day, trying to survive this devastating disease.
Well,
my nephew's listening right now.
I think that's actually very empowering. I'm glad that you came out with this tonight, Joe, because normally you come out with a lot of depressing shit, and this is something that can help to empower people. It really is, man. I mean, to me, that's what this program is all about. It's about sharing our angst about hair loss. It's about sharing our experiences as hair loss sufferers, And for those of you who are just tuning in for the first time and see me as a 48-year-old man who still has hair in his head, I think it's only reasonable and, to give full disclosure that, this is a quasi-sham. It is painted and sprayed and combed over, and there have been times in my life when I have, tried partial hair systems and all kinds of shit to try to do whatever I could to give myself the illusion of a full head of hair. So while it is not perfect, and yes, while I've gotten to this point at 48 years old where it still looks like I have hair in my head, I still deal with it every day. Every time I leave the house, every time I have to get up and take my dog out and have to throw a hat on because I haven't been able to do my hair. And all the things that we deal with that, if you talk about this in a public, arena or any other public arena, if you talk about this socially, people look at you like you're a fucking freak, except for those who understand. And then, like in my life, in my world, when people find out what I do, then they want me to hold court. They corner me at a party or whatever it is to talk about their situation. So I know how much this affects everybody's life. And, Joe, the fact that you to me, I don't know, is this a turning point in your life and the bald truth? I mean, the fact that you came out with that positive message?
Well, Spencer, I read it every day. My nephew called me up crying. He's been crying hysterically. As you know, just give me a minute, please. As you know, I'm not a physician. I diagnosed him with male pattern baldness approximately 2 years ago.
Yes.
It was like a nowhere to one. I put him on Propecia. I obviously had to write the prescription. I'm not a physician. And Rogaine 5%. And Nizoral shampoo. And nothing helped the kid, And he's attacking me now. I never made him any promises, Spencer. I just tried to help the kid. Can you just tell him this? A couple of years, help was on the way. He's only 21 years old. He'll be in his 20s and he'll have hair in his head. The kid wants to end his life, Spencer. He called me crying today. He's bedridden. He quit his job. He wears a turban and a cap, won't leave his house. Sounds familiar?
It does sound
Don't be
familiar.
like
It
me,
sounds
Robert.
exactly like you. And listen. I don't know what this kid looks like. I don't. You said how old is he? 19? 20?
He's 21 now. He's practically his crown is gone. He has about 20% of hair left in the frontal region, the mid-anterior scalp. A dermatologist wanted 4,000 grafts in his crown. I said, if you do that, you'll destroy your life. So I talked him out of that. I mean, imagine that, using almost all his donor area in his crown. I mean, come on.
I would, yeah, and I appreciate that you talked about that. I'm sure he needs to appreciate it and realize, again, this is a great place for him to come and hang out. He can call in. There's a lot of young guys out there that are able to just say fuck it and move on. If he's too young, do not get a hair. What's your nephew's name?
Well, he don't use a real name on the air. We'll call him Robert, if you don't mind. I'll give you his real name off the air if you want, but I can't. He don't want me to say it on the air. He's listening right now, Spencer. The kid, my brother says he's quasi-suicidal at this point. He's blaming me.
All right. Well, all I have to say is, dude, I swear to God, as young as you are, it's hard for you to realize, but you can get through this. Do not even consider surgery, man. You will regret it at this stage in your life. You are not ready. You are too far into the process at too early of an age to undergo surgery. And if you're not responding well to drug therapy, then surgery is absolutely not for you. Absolutely not for you. Trim your hair down, buzz it as close as you can, live your life, see what you can do. Go and get into the gym, get jacked, do whatever you can. Maybe there's another part of you that that you don't like, with a shaved head. Maybe I don't know if your ears stick out, if you're concerned about your nose or a certain feature that might be able to be fixed. A lot easier than fixing your hair, and that can maybe change your overall look and make you feel more confident. But I'm telling you, dude, as bad as it is, you will get through it. Now, Andrew's saying that my sound he's having problems with my sound. I don't know if it's my levels. Are you guys, how is my...
It's excellent, you sound.
All right. Now, how about guys in the chat room? Are you guys having any problems hearing me?
You're excellent on the phone, Spencer.
Let me know.
Well, I'll try my computer now. Say something.
All right. Somebody says I have some distortion. Somebody says it sounds good.
No, you're coming perfectly, Spencer.
All right, good.
I turned my computer on just now. You're coming perfectly.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. All right, so we got a lot of calls, obviously.
I would say just a couple pieces of news. I want to make a brief comment that people attacked you for being off last week. Listen, man, guys don't understand. You work 7 days a week. They don't understand that. I spoke to your wife. I know how hard you work, Spencer. You work 15-hour days. You're not allowed to take off any time you want. You know what I mean, man? Take off a couple weeks at a time.
Well, listen,
we need quality, not quantity.
Well, I appreciate that, and I think it's time. Now that we're talking about this, I've decided. I just turned 48 years old, and I'm thinking about my life, and I'm thinking about what I need to do with my life, and the important aspects of my life. Now, obviously, this is extremely important to me, but I do live 3,000 miles away from my family, from my father. My father is not getting any younger, and
89.
And I've decided that I do want to spend more time on the East Coast. I have a nephew, the son of my late brother, who lives on the East Coast, and my former sister-in-law and her family. And I just think that I need to have the freedom, which I do, basically to work everywhere except to do the live show, to be with my family, travel, do what I need to do at this stage of my life. I don't know how long my dad is going to be around. So what I have decided to do is I'm not going to be doing the live broadcast every Tuesday night anymore. Mm-hmm. Now, that is I know a lot of guys are going to be upset with me, but what I've decided to do is, provide recorded content on some Tuesdays, live content on other Tuesdays, and also basically do live events and live shows, that might be on a Thursday or might be on a Friday or might be on a Monday when I am in town to do it, which will be announced on thebaldtruth.com. I'll have it announced on the message forums and on our other resources as well. So I'm still going to be doing live broadcasts, Joe. So don't think you're out. you're still going to be a part of what we do, but I am not going to be doing the scheduled live broadcast every Tuesday night anymore. However, Tuesday nights will still be here for all of you guys to interact on the chat, come in, join the show. I will be providing new content every week, no matter what. How do you feel about that, Joe?
Well, that's fine. I think you're definitely entitled to that, you know. But if you don't mind, in the chat, will the chat room still be open on Tuesday nights? You haven't decided that yet.
You know, I don't really have any say in the chat room. That is owned by the GFQ Network and Andrew Zarian. He basically syndicates his broadcast, so that is going to be up to Andrew. I have no say in the matter. Right. It's not my thing.
Well, I agree. You deserve time off, Spencer. You know, I mean, whenever it's convenient for you, you're welcome. We'd love to have you on the air, but you'll have your life. Your father's not going to be around forever. He's 89. He's very ill, besides.
That's right.
You know, he's very, very ill, as we all know. And, you know, you have other obligations. You know, I fully support your decision, Spencer. You know,
well,
I really support you in anything you say, because I've been with you for 15 years, and I fully support anything you do 100%, Spencer.
Well, I appreciate that, but I want everyone to know that, you know, like, for instance, everyone's been asking me to get an interview with John Cole. He couldn't come on the program again tonight, but we hope to have either something in the can tomorrow or Thursday that I'll be able to get out to you guys by next week. I spoke to John at length yesterday, as a matter of fact, and he wants to do it. He just hasn't had the time to do it, and, you know, maybe recording it in the afternoon is going to be better for him, and we can get something out. Also, I have a great, what I think is a pretty good interview with the guys from Replicel. We'll be putting up segments starting tomorrow on thebaldtruth.com. I also have communications with Ken Washenik, who, you know, I mean, a lot of these guys would prefer to do recorded stuff than live stuff. So hopefully,
Ken Washenik, did you say, Spencer?
Yeah. So hopefully we can get Ken on from Adirans and you know, maybe some of the other principals to talk about what's going on. And I have some other stuff out there that I just don't want to talk about, but we will be presenting some more of the cutting edge stuff through the Bald Truth in the coming weeks. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot that's going to be put in the can. We're just not going to do it live, and, you know, that's just the way that it is. Like I said, I just at this stage of my life, I think it's important that I do, you know, spend as much time with my family as possible. Like you said, my dad's 89 years old.
Your decision. Yeah.
What'd you say?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Say it.
I'm very surprised and shocked. This is news to me. At first I'm hearing about it, but I do support you, Spencer.
Well,
I have to tell you that. I've been with you 15 years, and I do support you wholeheartedly.
I appreciate that, dude. So we have a lot of calls. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
Can I say two pieces of quick news?
Yeah.
Now, supposedly Gail Norton of Hisigen, I don't know if this is fact or rumor or what, that she's saying she needs more funding to get her product out sooner. Is this real?
You know, that's really funny. Right before I went on the air, I was checking my email, and I got an email that was sent to me from my staff. Apparently, there have been several people emailing us through the Bald Truth and through the message forum about this. I have no idea. You know, to me, it sounds questionable. But what I will do is, I will either contact Craig Ziering or I'll contact Gail herself and see if this is actually the case. And if it is, I mean, I find it difficult to digest that she would actually be corresponding with just anonymous people on you know, through a message forum or whoever contacted her. But I guess it's possible. You know, I guess it's possible. I can't see, you know, I mean, I don't know how great it would look for a company and how the stockholders would feel about it. But I mean, I guess anything is possible at this point. But I definitely will find out for you guys if I can.
I mean, a company like Allegan, you know, it's piss money to them, $100 million, and they could take their product and bring it to market in a year. I mean, this is what I don't understand. I mean, I know I'm psychotic, but am I ignorant or what, Spencer? Could you explain that to me briefly then for the other callers? Allergen, they know what the hell Lost Burgers work, as we went through last week on last week's show. What the hell's going on here? They got to go Hisigen in a heartbeat.
I agree. You know what? There's guys who are complaining about the sound I up the sound.
Sound is fine, Spencer.
Well, you're on the phone, but I up the sound on the software, Andrew, to see if it's distorted. I don't know why the sound would be distorted in any way, shape, or form, because when it's coming through my board, it's not distorted. When it's coming through Vid Blaster, it's not distorted. So what are you going to do?
Spencer, I just heard you're a computer man. It's coming in perfectly. Maybe somebody's computer, but my computer coming in perfectly.
Mike Phillips, tell me, what do you think, man? Let me know.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Can I say one more quick thing? Hello?
Yeah.
One quick thing. We had to get to the bottom of one thing. I know we can't do it, obviously, if the time constraints tonight, but Dr. Nigam, we have to see what the hell is going on. Is this guy for real? If he's for real, he should be on the cover of Time Magazine next week.
You know, I feel the same way, but I am open-minded. We're allowing the conversation to continue on the message forum. Again, it's a catch-22. The more the conversation grows, the more people who are going to turn to have a procedure with this guy. And, it's just the way it is. And it's the same with Go. We allow the conversation to go on with the Go technique, Dr. Cohen Go. We don't work together in any capacity. However, I have a good relationship with the guy, and I think that these are good discussions. But I also think there are so many vulnerable guys, especially the young guys, who believe everything they fucking read. And it's just, what do you do, Joe? What do you do? You can't just, I don't want to stifle the information. And frankly, like you know me personally, I don't spend any time in the message forum. On Tuesdays, I would read it. Today, I didn't even have a chance to read it. I got an email about something that was happening with Gail Naughton, and that was it. And honestly, I prefer not to be involved in it, with it at all, to be honest with you. So,
What did you say? Sorry.
No. So, I just think the young guys out there who are reading all this stuff, believe me, we have been around the block. We have seen this a million times. There were guys back in the day, 15 years ago, who were using RU58841 and other similar compounds for years. This has been going on forever, and there is not a single user of that compound from back in the day that from what I know, who has continued to use that compound successfully. It doesn't mean that it doesn't work. It doesn't mean that there's not some, and I've seen great images, and I've seen, I've heard personal accounts of the fact that this works, but every batch is different. Everything is just there's no consistency. So, for all these guys who somehow think that this is going to get them out of their hair loss situation, it might do it temporarily. They may do great on it for a long time, but you just don't know where it's coming from. So there's just so much vulnerability out there. So many guys who are so desperate, and I get it, man. I'm still desperate. I'm 48 years old, and I still am holding on to every hair that I can.
You're doing a pretty good job. You're doing a pretty good job of it.
I appreciate that, dude.
I always want to make quickly, Spencer. People are attacking me in the chat room saying I use the N-word. I said Dr. Nigam, not the N-word. They're attacking me as being racist now.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, you're certainly not racist.
I'm not a racist. I said Dr. Nigam. That's his name.
That's right.
One more quick thing.
Listen, let's face it, Joe. Sometimes you talk like you have marbles in your mouth.
Well, I would never use that word, Spencer.
No, I know, and people misunderstand you.
Well, Dr. Nigam is now using topical injections. I don't know if you saw it on some various sites.
I have not. Honestly, I have not seen it.
He's using injections alone, stem cell injections with various growth factors. And this guy's growing 8,000 or 9,000 grafts with just injections.
This is what I'm going to say.
I'm not saying they are.
This is what I'm going to say, and I think it's important that people really listen. It's important to question this. It's important to be skeptical. It's important to think to yourselves, how is it possible that there's some guy in India who's able to accomplish this? And all of a sudden, it's just starting to come out, all being, promoted and perpetuated through online message forums. Now, it doesn't mean that it's not happening. But think to yourself, is this a questionable mode of getting the word out? Is this a questionable mode of marketing something that, if this was happening, would be huge? It would be world news. It's important that you guys think of this. Now, with that said, I'm hoping against hope that this stuff, all of these discussions, end up turning into something positive, that we are going to see patients who are coming back to the message forums and saying, shit, I had this done, and look at me, without being prompted by the physicians who are performing these techniques. We see that with Dr. Go. There's a couple of guys out there, not many, but there's a couple of guys out there who are really happy with their decision to go to Dr. Go in the Netherlands. And I think that's great. There's guys who are out there online who are saying, well, they're not that impressed with the results as far as what these patients are presenting online. But I think the bottom line is, if these patients are happy, then fuck it. Then that's all that matters. That's all that matters. So I'm hoping that we see the same thing from this guy, Dr. Negum. At some point, I'm sure that we'll interview him. And right now, I'm not going to go there. Not that I don't want this information out there, because I do. We are allowing it. Listen, we're allowing this discussion to happen in the most trafficked hair loss website in the world. There is no other website in the world that is even close to the amount of traffic that baldtruthtalk.com gets. Just the way that it is. So if I really felt, if we really wanted to kind of stifle this information, we would not allow that to happen. I just want to see how things play out. That's it.
Well, this is one final thing. He is now claiming he could turn a NOAA 6 into a NOAA 2. This is his latest claim. Whether it's true or false, I don't know.
Look, I don't know either. I have no idea. I mean, what do you think of Dr. Neagum's hair, his own hair?
It looks okay. He got himself, pictures with Wyshanik, Dr. What's his name?
Dude, these fucking guys don't know who they're taking pictures with at these conferences. I'm nothing. And this is not to say anything against Dr. Negum, but that's just the way these conferences are. I can go to any of these conferences. Well, they know me, but I mean, even at the beginning of my career, and I was able to take pictures with anybody. That's just the way that it is. So it doesn't mean that it shouldn't legitimize him, but it's not something to delegitimize him either. All I'm saying is everyone needs to tread cautiously and just realize that you just never know. You never know. This guy could be the greatest thing since to hair loss that has ever existed. He could be the guy that's a true pioneer. He could be the guy that is going to change the way the world sees hair loss and the way that we are treated for our hair loss. Or not. Just be cautious.
Let's just summarize by saying this. 6 months to a year from now, this guy will be on the cover of Time magazine or be in jail. One or the other. That's the bottom line. Like Dr. Bazan of Mexico, right? You exposed many years ago.
All I can say is this. I am in a position to make him an extremely wealthy man. Now, he's probably doing quite well for himself now, but we can make it to the point where it would change his life in a way that he could never imagine. And if I believed at this stage that he was doing something that would change the world, I would be involved. Maybe one day I will be.
Well, he wants me as a patient, but you're discouraging me as of now because I am part of your family.
I don't want to discourage you, but I want you to be safe, Joe. That's all I want. That's
I
most important.
appreciate that you care about me, and I know that. You like a brother to me, you know that, and I appreciate that. That's why I won't go to India at this point.
Well, I'm going to give out the phone number, Joe. It's 888-659-3727. Thank you, as always, for hanging out. I'm going to put you on hold, and I'm going to take some more calls.
Okay, thank you very much for the time, Spencer.
You got it. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
This is Curtis from Virginia.
Curtis, what can I do for you, man? Welcome to the show.
I've called you a bunch of times. A few times. I'm the guy close to 50, had a bunch of hair transplants in the past. So called you a few times. But I had no idea Joe was such a racist. I'm really shocked. Just listening to a few minutes.
Joe's not a racist. I know you're joking, dude.
Wow, that was out of control. So I had no idea. Anyway, so that aside, really, I mean, that changes everything. I don't even have any sympathy for me. But anyway, I have a couple questions. I finally got to the point with hair where and it's been years and years and years, transplants, and I'm finally good. I feel it's not, I'm comfortable.
Oh, dude, I remember you now. You were the guy that was, just like me with the hairspray, and you had many procedures.
Oh my God, it's just been like the 20 just upset, and I can finally take a breath right now. If that makes sense. And so I really feel for when I hear these younger people. Remember, I told you I have some kids, and I'm watching them careful, but not bringing it up to them. I don't want I don't want to put my issues onto them. But anyway, yes, given all that, my question is a couple of things. One, all right, so now I've got, so there's a couple parts of this question, but so do you think saw palmetto, because I've been taking that for years, I have no idea if that's helped me retain some hair or not. So what's your opinion on that first? That's the first part one.
Well, and again, apparently I'm having trouble with my audio here. So guys, I'm sorry if you're not hearing me well. We're doing the best that we can. I wrote the first chapter ever in my original book, The Bald Truth, on herbal supplementation and hair loss. And one thing that I wrote about was saw palmetto, Pygium africanum, and stinging nettle, 3 herbs that were shown to lower DHT many years ago. And again, this is back in 1998. I wrote the book in 96 and 97. I really believe that these agents could help with hair loss without initially the associated side effects that Propecia has. Now, what we found out was this. Saw palmetto has similar, if not the same, in some cases worse side effects, at least anecdotally, than finasteride, sexual side effects. So just because it's natural, you have to realize it comes from nature's pharmacy, so it can still affect you adversely if it's lowering DHT. So some people will.
That's going to be part 2 of the question. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yes. Some people will experience sexual side effects, worse sexual side effects on the natural agents than on finasteride. Unfortunately, over the years, I have come to the conclusion that, at least based on anecdotal evidence, that most people do not respond positively as far as their hair is concerned taking these nutritional supplements, even in their purest forms. And sadly, I think what has happened is that there's a lot of companies out there that are promoting these products in their own concoctions, basically telling people that this is a natural form of finasteride without the side effects. You're going to get the same results. The fact is, in my view, that is not true, and I think the results really are non-existent for most people, at least according to the people that have contacted me over the years.
So that leads me to the next part. So where I am right now is like, I've been taking it for years, and everything's good. So whether or not it is or not, I don't want to not take it. Does that make sense? I don't want to risk, like, I'm where I am now, I'm good. And that's been, whether that's helped or not, I don't know. Keep some of what I naturally would have had.
I think that's very reasonable, man. I think that's a smart way.
Here's part 2. So could testosterone therapy, like if you have low testosterone and your doctor prescribes medically, not going to one of these clinics to get jacked, that kind of thing. But, the doctor says, oh, yeah, your testosterone is low. Can that now affect hair loss?
I would say yes. I am very lucky. Like I say, I just turned 48. It seems like all of my levels are just, fine and actually a little high. But there are a lot of my contemporaries who are now taking testosterone supplementation and like human growth hormone, shit like that, and they are fucking jacked. And I'm thinking to myself, man, if I just had a little extra human growth hormone, a little extra testosterone, I can really get my body back to where it was. I am scared shitless to do it because of my hair. So to answer your question, I know a guy who has never suffered from hair loss in his life. He had basically an impenetrable, like Norwood 1 hairline till the age of 45. He started using human growth hormone, testosterone, and DHEA, prescribed by his anti-aging medicine doctor. And I saw him in the neighborhood. He was fucking jacked. The guy looked amazing. Even his head got bigger. I think human growth hormone could fuck you up a little bit. But But he was complaining about his hair loss to me, and he had never lost hair. So I suggested that he ask his doctor if he can get off of the DHEA aspect of the treatment, part of the treatment, and he did. And he now says that his hair loss stopped, but it wasn't the same. And now it's not it's not progressing quickly. But
the majority of my hair is hair transplanted. That could still be affected, right? Theoretically.
You know what? It can be affected theoretically, but if the majority of your hair is transplanted, it's probably less likely to be affected by DHT. So I think you're probably in a better position than a guy like myself, who has basically been, like it's almost like wearing a disguise of hair, and just saving every hair in his head. I think you're probably in a better position than me to take the stuff. I'm not saying to do it, but I think
here's how I'm similar to you in the situation that, the hair I have, I can make it. I mean, it looks like someone told me. I told you before, like I have a lot of hair. A Seinfeld. Now, but I'm like you. Except the difference is, you're like, it could change. I'm good where I am. Does that make sense? I mean, it's not. At least I know where I am.
Yes, it does make sense.
You're like, yeah. So I don't want to do any. It's taken so long, and it's been such a process and ordeal. I don't want to do anything.
Why don't you? I mean, I don't know what your physical activity is, but if you do kind of like,
I exercise all the time. I mean, I don't feel I need it. He just did, I was getting a physical, and he just tested it and brought it up.
Yeah, you know what? And there are guys out there. I mean, is he an anti-aging guy? Would you be buying the testosterone directly from him?
Just said, well, I just said, he asked me while he was doing nothing, did he want me to test that too? I mean, no, he's a good doctor. I said, go ahead.
No, but let me ask you a question. What about, like, are you, and this may be too personal, but I mean, sexually,
no, go ahead.
Sexually, are there any changes that you're noticing? Are you waking up with wood still? I mean, what's your...
Yeah, that's still, he gave me actually Cialis. While he's waiting for the test results. But it's not a major problem, but that, more than did it, just 1 week, you know what I mean? So what I'm thinking is, you don't want to mess around with testosterone. I don't think I do, right?
I wouldn't, and I actually think, and again, I'm not a doctor, but I really see it, if you're in your 60s or 70s and you want to kind of get back some vigor in your life and kind of stop that clock or slow it, I think it's reasonable to take these, testosterone and human growth hormone, shit like that. But for me, I mean, how old are you? You're my age?
50.
You're 50. I mean, shit, man. I know it sounds crazy to the young guys to say that you're young, but you're young. And you have a lot of life. You have a lot of life ahead of you. Would you rather have a little bit more?
I'm in the best shape I've ever been in.
Yeah, I mean, would you rather have a little bit more muscle mass and lose your hair, or would you rather just maybe work a little harder?
I don't need any more muscle mass. No, it's not even that. I don't know. It would just. But, it would just be like, wow, what a bonus, if you can get it and need it. All my friends, a couple of my friends actually said congratulations.
Yeah, and there's a lot of guys. Listen, I'm telling you, I know guys, my contemporaries, they're taking this shit and they are saying that they're screwing all night. They can go to the gym the same amount of time that they were, but they're more jacked and just more elite. They're seeing their abs again.
I do not want to risk what I've. It's been what now is almost a lifetime of worry and stress to get to where I'm like.
Dude, I'd rather be, have a little extra fat around my gut and, still maintain the hair that I have and live my life. Because the truth of the matter is, I'm not hanging out trying to, taking off my shirt every 5 minutes. I'm living my life. I'm enjoying myself. I feel relatively comfortable in my own skin. I don't want to risk that to, get down to 10% body fat and, build a little bit more mass or, be able to screw for an extra hour every night. It's just, it's not worth it to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's just my opinion. Obviously you got to talk to your doctor and do what you think is best for yourself.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's my big question is like, so that helps. So I appreciate that.
All right, man. Well, listen, I wish you the best of luck. You're always a great caller, and thanks for tuning in, all right?
And to tell Joe, really, he needs to be more sensitive. I mean, a lot of people out there are diverse. Hair loss affects, it doesn't discriminate, and he shouldn't either. So
You're funny, dude.
All right.
I appreciate it. Take it easy.
All right.
All right. 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this? Hey, man, what can I do for you?
Hi.
Hi.
This is Rodrigo.
I'm calling the very first time, man. And
Wait, first of all, Rodrigo, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Spokane, Washington, but I'm not from the States, so
Where are you
that's the
from?
reason that Chile.
Oh, welcome.
Well, yeah, thanks, man. And well, thanks again for doing the show. I mean, there is a lot of pretty damn good information that you're giving to all of us around this stupid hair loss situation. But
I appreciate that.
anyway, yeah, I just want to share a little bit my story. Well, I'm now 32 years old. I started losing my hair at the age of, I believe I used to use really short hair. My hair is kind of thick and curly, and I used it really short. And then I started growing up, like at the age of 22, something about that. And I used it really long, and then I started noticing the losing hair on my hairline. Didn't bother me at all. I saw as something like, okay, it's just a little bit of stress because college and work maybe. And then I started realizing, okay, my uncles, they're bald. My grandpa, he's bald.
So you have a long history of baldness in your family, obviously. So,
yeah, basically.
So tell me your situation and what I can do for you.
Oh yeah. Well, I just want to share the. I started using finasteride, the 5 milligrams doses, and at the age of, I think I started at 20, 25, 26, and I used it until age of 30. Yeah, I used it until 30. I did not have any side effects. Actually, I knew just a little bit of side effects that might be affect your sperm counts, and
let me ask you. Okay, so you had some side effects as far as
I didn't. I didn't.
No.
I wasn't concerned at all about that. And then
how's the hair? How has it stopped your hair loss?
Oh yeah. The hairline recede, which is like a mature hairline, but I start thinning, and when I start using it, after like I would say 6 or 8 months, I noticed a really good improvement. And it was great. I mean, I keep using it until age of 30, because I was started reading about the horrible side effects that I wasn't aware before. I say, oh my gosh, this could be fine until today, but
let me cut to the chase. So you've been taking it, you've had success, no side effects.
Yep.
You've read about, now you're reading about the potential of severe adverse side effects, and you're afraid to take it.
Yep, and I stop it, and I keep using only the minoxidil, 5% per day, and it worked decent, but my hairline keep receding.
Well, that's what's going to happen, dude. And I'm not saying that it was a bad decision. What I'm saying is it's unfortunate that there's so many guys out there who have had success with this drug with absolutely no adverse side effects, and then they read this stuff and they're scared shitless. And meanwhile they really want to keep their hair, and it's probably the most effective treatment out there to keep your hair. And I feel bad. I get so many. Believe me, you're not the only one. So many people contact me who say, "I stopped using it because of what I read on the internet, even though I was doing fine. And now what do I do because I'm losing my hair again?"
Yeah, I get kind of paranoid about it, and it took me 2 years to think it like really with my mind cold and say, I didn't have any side effects. Somebody can have it. I'm not saying that there's every single drug has side effects.
That's right.
And and you have to trade off between the gain and what you lose.
Well, look, in my experience, I've been using a 5 milligram tablet, a couple of days a week for the past almost 20 years, and for me, it's been wonderful. It's been great. I do not know what's going to happen in the future, and I tell people that all the time. But what can I attribute? Whatever could go down in my health to finasteride in the future. I don't know. I took the risk and I decided that this is something that I wanted to do. And at the time, this information that a lot of people are putting out on the internet was just not out there. And frankly, we didn't really see this until about 2005, 2006, and this was a long time. Over a decade after it was approved for hair loss, approximately, and much longer after it was approved for benign prostate hyperplasia. None of this information was in the literature. None of the doctors that I've spoken to who have been treating patients with this drug for many, many years had ever experienced anyone coming back to them saying, you know what, I think I'm permanently impotent. It didn't exist. But then it started to get out there on the internet. And I'm not saying that it's not real. It probably is. But everyone is now shit scared of it. I understand that. But when I hear stories like yours, it's like, shit, man. It's like you were doing well. If you didn't read about this stuff, you would have continued on with your life and probably kept your hair. And now, because of what you read and because you decided to get off the drug, now you're suffering with this again.
Yeah, but I think after these 2 years without taking the drug between 30 and 32, and I started taking it again. And as I did it before, cutting the table, 4 pieces, and
how are you feeling? How are you feeling on it now?
I feel great.
Great.
I feel great. I mean, all my fears. I mean, I'm married. I have my wife. My sexual life is,
right.
Like a normal, active person of 32 years old. I mean, of course, I've been with my wife for about 8 years. So sometimes you have to do things a little bit different because you're with the same, it's like eating the same lunch every single time.
That's the way life is. That's completely normal. So.
Yeah, but you can put it's fine. Everything is normal. And
well,
I also went to Dr. Stephen Gable.
Oh, okay.
Last Friday I got a FUT procedure. He put 1,300 graft on my.
Oh wow! So you actually, you recently had a hair transplant. So how did it go?
It went really smooth. I think it took the procedure about 6 hours. I fall asleep on the procedure.
Well, I'm going to tell you this, and I'm not just saying this because Dr. Gable is part of my organization. That guy he's really good at what he does. He's one of the few, and not that this means it doesn't necessarily mean that doctors who are not plastic surgeons are any less than. But he happens to also be a board certified plastic surgeon, and he is just a guy that really is into what he does, really cares about his patients, and he is, you never ever receive a complaint about Steve Gable. So you picked a good doctor, you really did.
Yeah, I researched it for, I would say, about 8 months, maybe a year.
Well, do me a favor. I have other calls, and I'd love to hear from you again. So please call back. Go on Bald Truth Talk message forums. Maybe post about your experience with Dr. Gable, because there's a lot of guys in Washington State that are considering surgical hair restoration that would love to hear your story and kind of keep everybody abreast. Call the show in a while and say, okay, I'm here, and this has been, basically give us a progress report, because I'm really curious, and I'm also very curious about. How you're going to continue on finasteride. One quick question: do you think that if you didn't stop taking the drug, that you would have gone for a hair transplant, or do you think that if you continue taking it, that you would have been basically the same as you were before, and maybe would have not even considered surgery?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I'm
for the way that I am, I will do the surgery anyways. Not at the age of 32, maybe at the age of after 36, maybe.
So basically, what you're saying is you could have. So basically, what you're saying is that if you can stayed on the drug, you probably would have been able to hold off having surgery for a few more years.
Yeah, I definitely will hold off on that situation. But I mean, as I made the mistake and I had the chance and I had a good donor area and my hair thick and all the conditions were in my favor, I took the risk for the surgery.
Well, listen, I think that, I don't think Dr. Gable would have performed the surgery if you felt that you were a bad candidate, and you're definitely in good hands. So I'm very curious to see what the results are. Please keep us posted, and I want to thank you for the call. All right, man?
Sure.
All right. Thanks again. Take care.
Thank you.
All right. 888-659-3727. I will take one more call before I take a break. Let's see who this is. Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
This is George in Mobile.
Hey, George, man, how are you? Long time. What's going on?
Well, it's just an interesting evening. Enjoying your callers very much, enjoying the information. I was desperately loading the dishwasher here trying to get it done before I connected with you so I wouldn't be making background noise. I'm happy to hear that you've made a decision to spend more time with your family. I am dismayed to know that I won't be able to listen to you live every Tuesday night, but maybe you can work up some kind of system. I don't know if this is something that would be too expensive for you to do, or some kind of, since you're not going to be, doing live broadcasts on a regular schedule, is any way at all you could use some kind of technology to announce your live broadcast to select Ball Truth devotees, like through an email notification system or something like that?
We can definitely do that, but probably the most efficient way is to check balltruthtalk.com throughout the week. But maybe what we'll do is, we'll put something. Have you signed up to the balltruth.com newsletter? Or, we can basically send out emails through that system as well. So if you sign up to the balltruth.com, we'll alert everybody who's signed up.
So I just go to the balltruth.com, look for a newsletter, and do a subscription?
Let me see. I haven't been on there for a while, but I'm pretty sure that's the way that it works, yeah. So, but obviously, I can contact you, George. So you don't have to worry about that.
Well, I greatly appreciate that. It was interesting, the lead-in with Joe. It made me think about something that happened a couple of days ago. I had decided to use this summer as a summer of great focus on renewal and transformation and getting on track with all the things I've been wanting to do for a long time, but have been sort of bogged down in the bullshit of life, 7 years of legal struggles and health struggles and this and that and the other. Finally decided I got a birthday card a couple of months ago around my 51st birthday from a friend of mine, an old business associate who's up in Albany, Georgia now, a real nice guy. And he knew about my struggles. And he sent me a real nice birthday card, and he said, my prayer for you is that you will just basically let go of all the bullshit that's been holding you back and just go ahead and do what you know you need to do and what you want to do, and just let all this other stuff go. The worries, the anger, the resentment, all the crap, and the insecurities, whatever. Just let all that crap go and just focus on what you want to do and follow through. And like a couple nights ago, I was coming back from a trip to the woods, a little fishing trip to a friend's pond. That's where I go to think and pray and sort of renew my spirit, get out in the woods and catch a few fish and look at the fireflies and just get away from the bullshit of the city for a few hours. So I'm coming home, and I'm in the store walking around, and a buddy of mine calls me up, and we have a conversation. And he said, look, and this guy just turned 60, and his family has a beach house down at Gulf Shores, Alabama. We go in and crash every now and then. And he said, why don't you just forget about this crap with your hair? He says, nobody even notices it but you. He said, most of the rednecks down here wear caps anyway. And I said, well, I wear caps almost every day. The days I don't feel like putting on the fake hair, the Kobren and the topic. And he said, why don't you just forget all that crap? He said, you get plenty of attention from girls. I see it. Just go ahead and hit on them and don't worry about that bullshit. He said, and then he said something to me. He said, did you know that I wear a plate? I said, you mean like false teeth? He said, yeah. Did you know I had a plate? And I said, no.
Wow.
I spent a week with this guy at his beach house, when we were living in the same house, and didn't know he had a plate. And he said, yeah, my girlfriend saw me the other day eating at the dinner table at my parents' beach house, and she saw the thing kind of pop out of my mouth a little bit, and I popped it back in. She didn't say anything. And then later on, something came up about it, and he told me, he said, look, he said, I know your hair thing just really, you're distraught over that. He said, but he said, my sister and I both had something where our teeth were really soft. I don't know, some medication we took when we were kids. This guy just turned 60. I don't know what the hell it was. And he said, our teeth just kind of like were very soft and kind of like melted away like chalk, And he said, I ended up losing most of my teeth when I was fairly young. He said, it was devastating. He said, but I got a plate, and I just, went on and kept doing my thing, chasing girls, having a good time. And he said, I never let that shit bother me. He said, you let all this stuff bother you, particularly this hair thing. And he said, I guarantee you, it's not nearly as big a thing to everybody else as it is to you.
And I think that's powerful advice, man. Coming from a guy who's dealt with something that most guys would be.
I mean,
go ahead.
Yeah. It's just so hard, though. I mean, people like you and me and Joe, people who we have very uncompromising personalities. Wouldn't you say that would be a fair assessment?
Well, I would say that, and it's not to separate me from your issues or myself from your issues or what Joe's dealing with. I would say that I was a guy that, as fucked up as hair loss has been for me over the years, I never really let it stand in my way with women. Even though I suffered with it, I felt insecure about it. I hated the fact that eventually someone was going to have to touch my hair, or that maybe my hair looked fucked up, or people would mention something that I have a can of hairspray on or whatever. I needed sex. I needed to be with somebody, a female, and I wouldn't let it interfere with that. So I would say, at least on that level, I was kind of able to push it away and do whatever I could to kind of just, all right, this is fucked up. I hate this situation. I feel less than to some degree, especially when I was younger, but I'm still going to go out and get laid and enjoy my life. So I kind of think that I was a little different in that respect than perhaps you or, even Joe.
Well, I did that for a while, and then other things happened in my life, and it was like a snowballing. It wasn't just the hair; it was a bunch of other things. It was like a snowballing of insecurities due to a lot of different things that happened in my life. But again, it's whether it's the hair or whether it's a million other friggin' things we can be insecure about as men. It's if it diminishes your confidence and impedes your willingness to go out and pursue the life you want to pursue, it still has the same effect, right?
100%. Absolutely. And that's what this show is about.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what the show is about. Again, as I told you years ago, I always saw the bald truth eventually, because this friggin' hair nightmare, as Joe says, this horrible, debilitating disease, eventually will become a non-issue. They'll figure some way to make this really a non-issue. Of course, the evil globalist New World Order guys, they want to keep all the good shit for themselves. That's why they're trying to engineer things where they can live forever, and then while the rest of us, waste away, which is their plan. I mean, I don't want to get off into that, but if they could find a way to keep keep the hair secret to themselves, they would. But of course, they'll find some way to cash in on it and get to make themselves even richer. Bottom line is, one day this will be a non-issue. I would like to see the Bald Truth program continue or morph into a general men's issues program, which you've done to a great extent already, rather than just being focused on hair, because your talents and abilities to help men overcome bullshit in their lives and to live a more full life, to me, it transcends the hair issue.
Well, I've always appreciated you saying that.
Way.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate you saying
that. But it's the truth.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
So, but anyway, I just was thinking about what my friend said the other night, trying to encourage me to move on. And it broke my heart to hear Joe talk about this. What was this? I was having bad problems with the connection with your show. It was like staccato breaking up while Joe was talking about, is it a nephew of his or something? And he asked to help Joe, asked for Joe's help, and things didn't work out right. Now the kid's like in the bed, suicidal.
Yes.
It just breaks my heart when I hear that shit. It just breaks my heart to hear these kids that psychologically paint themselves into a corner. It reminds me of one of the most heartbreaking things I ever remember reading, about this poor Japanese kid. The Japanese culture is so insane. It was so performance based. The kids over there, if they did not make a certain level of grades in high school, they would never be able to get into the primo universities there, which meant they would never get hired by the top corporations, which meant they would never have an opportunity to move up from their social status and to be able to get top-paying jobs and really make the good money and have the kind of life they wanted. And the whole thing became such a issue in these kids' minds that there were stories about. I remember back from the late 70s, through way through the 90s, maybe, or 2000s, these kids would like steal each other's notebooks and shit like that before the night of a stupid high school exam, and the kids would get so freaked out thinking that their whole fucking future had been torpedoed by the fact that they might not do well on one stupid test in one class in high school, that they would kill themselves.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane.
I mean, it's fucking insane. This crazy-ass, youth-obsessed, sick society of ours, and youth and money and glamour-obsessed society.
Well, you should read once in a while when you have some time, and I should do it more often, but every once in a while, I used to do it on Tuesdays. Read some of the stuff that's on baldtruthtalk.com. Read the angst of some of these young guys, and there's a few there's a few real gems though that really have very way out ways of dealing with life and belief and a belief system. And there are people out there who truly believe that they will not have any type of a decent life if they don't have all their hair back, or if they don't have certain types of looks, or and I'm here to tell you, man, that is just such fucking bullshit. It is, and this is the truth, and it's always been this way. I can be in a bar with hanging out with like a fucking model, like a GQ fucking model. It doesn't make a difference. The best looking guy in the world. And in my view, and I've always said this, as long as you're good looking enough to the point where you are not an embarrassment to the person that you're screwing or hanging out with, as long as you're good looking enough, if you have what it takes, if you have the personality, if you have if you're funny, and if you're cool and people are attracted to you, I can guarantee you that 10 will go with you, as opposed to the guy who looks like a fashion model, especially if he's just not a cool guy or doesn't have his shit together. That's the way it's been in my life, and that's the way. I mean, I always say, man, just good enough. That's all you need in life, especially when it comes to women. Just be good enough, and good enough means you can be fucked up. Some women are cool with a guy that may have bad skin or whatever. As long as you're able to make them feel good, you make them happy. When women get into a relationship with a guy, they basically just want to be made to feel good, just like we do. So yeah, there's no doubt that the woman has to be attracted to you physically to some degree initially, but that could also be enhanced by who you are, what you do for a living, what you represent, how other people are attracted to you, your status in life. Status doesn't necessarily have to equate to making a lot of money. It's just your status in your particular world. And I don't think enough young guys really understand that. They think it's 100% based on looks, and it's not.
100% based on looks or money. That's what they think. And like you said, it's a much greater mix. And back when I was a model and I was just couldn't understand. I'd never gotten attention like I wanted to from the hot girls. Suddenly I was a model. I was getting attention from some girls, but I found out the really hot girls, they were not interested in guys like me. They were interested in ugly fuckers that looked like Keith Richards who had big money.
Right.
And when I hit on some of the models I modeled with, that shit, they weren't interested in me. They were interested in some pudgy, fat, rich, middle-aged dude who had lots of bucks. And I found out from some of these guys that were my agents and photographers and all that hung out with these girls, and they would tell me about these models who want to be models, and were pretty hot, who were doing blowjobs on the side with rich guys to supplement their income, waiting tables while they tried to become a model.
Right. Yeah.
And the whole thing was just some sick, pathetic little phony, faux world. But like my buddy told me the other night, he said, look at all these ugly redneck guys you see walking around Mobile with hot girls. And he said, these guys, they don't have intelligence like you do. They don't have an education like you. They can't speak like you do.
That's right.
He said, quit worrying about all this bullshit. And back when I was a model, my sister told me one time, she said, you don't get it, do you? I said, what's that? She said, girls don't want to go out with fucking guys who look better than they do.
And that is the God's honest truth. And I try to tell guys that they don't want to be in competition. So in my view, the hotter the woman, the more beautiful the woman, in a sense, the easier it is for the average-looking guy, or slightly above average-looking guy, to go in who has a lot of shit going for him and basically pull, as opposed to the fashion model. It's just the way that it is. If you look at most couples, most really hot women. Listen, I was just in Vegas. I spent the weekend in Vegas, just having a good time with my wife and hanging out. And you should see the couple.
Where'd you stay there?
I'd rather not say, to tell you the truth.
Oh, that's cool. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine.
But you see the couples out there in different hotels, and I'm telling you, I'm not just talking about the hookers. I'm talking about just real couples. You can see that the woman has a ring, whatever it is. The most beautiful women are with the most average-looking guys, and a lot of the most beautiful younger women are with average-looking older guys. And these young guys think, oh, it's just because the guy has money. It's not just the money. It's the ability to earn that money. That's what's sexy to women. The ability to command your life. To be that commanding force in your life, to control your world. And young guys don't get that, man. It's so wild. And it doesn't matter how often you try to drum it in their heads. They're not going to get it until they develop a life for themselves and figure it out.
I'm afraid you're correct. And I say that, a lot from just personal experience.
Sure.
You sometimes can't believe shit until you encounter it in a life, experiential sort of way. There's just some things that seem plain as the nose on your face, but until people live it and experience it, you just can't reach them.
And that is true, man. No truer words were ever said. George, listen, I'm going to take a break. I want to thank you for, it's great when you call in. We've missed you over the last, I know you called a couple of weeks ago and you had a lot of trouble trying to get through, or at least the phones are really bad. Was the phone better tonight for the most part?
Well, when I finally got through, things have been fine. Initially, when I was on hold, you started with a staccato breaking up, and I had to hang up and call back a couple of times, which probably took me a while to get through because I kept hanging up and calling back because I had a weird connection.
But right now, everything's been good. Okay, good. All right, George.
It's been beautiful. I was on the phone with you. Not a problem whatsoever, but please let me know when you're going to be on live. I definitely do not want to miss that. I'm looking forward to these exciting updates, and I commend your decision to spend more time with your family. I hope things go well there. God bless you and yours, and tell all your crew, as usual, how much we appreciate their assistance and getting you on the air. So I'll look forward to hearing from you. Thanks a lot.
George, I appreciate it, man. Take care.
All right.
All right. 888-659-3727. I'm going to punt all of you guys down. We have full boards tonight, so, if you can get through, great. If not, like I said, we're not going to be doing the live broadcast every Tuesday night. We're going to kind of make it more like a live event. There will be broadcasts, obviously, every Tuesday, so you guys can hang out in the chat and still see something new. And we're going to alert you guys to when we're going to actually be doing live, when you guys can call me and speak directly to me. And there'll be more information on the websites about that. Phone number tonight, 888-659-3727. I'm Spencer Kobren. You're listening to and watching The Bald Truth. We'll be right back after this.
The winner of 7 prestigious Golden Forehead Awards.
My family's always arguing. It always starts off innocent and then it gets vicious right away. So I was like, hey, looks like you're losing some hair. At least my wife's not a whore.
Spencer David Kobren.
Hey guys, welcome back. 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. Great to be back doing the Bald Show. You know, every time I fucking say that, I think to myself, I mean, I do a hair loss show. How insane is that? You know, when I go to conventions or, you know, to the NAB or to, when I do things in the world of internet broadcasting, and you talk about your broadcast, or people ask me, you know, I've been asked to speak at different conferences. It's fucking crazy to people. But you know what? There's a huge percentage, especially of the online broadcasters, who obviously know what I do and kind of see that we've built this niche over the years. But trying to explain the enormity of without something obnoxious, of this broadcast, at least, you know, in this niche, to those who are new to broadcasting or who are new to internet broadcasting. It's very, it's wild, to say the least. That's, you know, I was in search of some way to articulate that better. It didn't work out. But I think about it myself. When I look back on my life, and again, I just had a birthday recently, and I have been thinking about this a lot, and just thinking about my career and kind of what we've built here over the years. From nothing. From just a guy who was losing his hair, just like all of you young guys out there. A guy who, you know, I was not in this field. I knew nothing about this field. I learned about this field because I was desperate and I wanted help and I needed something. Thanks, guys, by the way, in the chat room for the happy birthday. I need something to help myself. And I learned, in some cases the hard way, about how fucked up the hair loss world and the hair loss industry was and still is. But what you young guys don't understand is how much better it is today, how much more information there is. There was no The Bald Truth back in the day. When the internet was in its infancy, there was absolutely nothing. Sadly, now that what's out there is just, there's a lot of misinformation as well. There's great information and misinformation. But, you know, I was just like you. I was the guy that I didn't know where to turn or what to do. And, you know, I learned fast. And I was lucky enough to have the wherewithal to avoid surgery at a young age when I didn't need it, when I thought it was crazy that people wanted to perform surgery on me. And back in the day, we're talking about 4mm plugs and mini micrographs and scalp reductions and fucking hair flaps. You know, I flew out here to Los Angeles. I'll tell you guys a brief story, and I'll take your calls. 888-659-3727. You know, after I had seen doctors like Norman Orentreich, and I went to Long Island Medical Associates, Gary Hitzig, and some other guys who were really well-known guys back in the day, back in New York, and everyone wanted to perform surgery on me, where I basically just had the same recession as I have now, and much less of a thin spot in the back. And they wanted to perform surgery on me. And my recession was actually less. It's probably more on this side. I cover it up now. But I saw a television show, a talk show. Back in the day, there was a show called Lisa Gibbons. You guys are probably familiar with, but that's kind of old school at this point. I saw this doctor by the name of Garth Fisher, who is now known as he's an extremely famous plastic surgeon, one of the first doctors in the original Extreme Makeover, married to, I think her name was Brooke Burke or Burns or something like that. And he was being interviewed about a procedure that he actually had done himself. And it was a free-form flap, jury flap surgery that he had done on himself in Japan. It was an extreme success. It changed his life. And he was now performing it here in Los Angeles. Now, I saw this broadcast. I was in New York. I was a young guy. And, I was lucky enough to, have the means because of hard work. And I made a little bit of money, early on in my life, doing something completely different than I do now. To get on a plane, fly from New York to Los Angeles to have a consultation with this guy. At the time, the consultation was free. Now I think the guy charges $500 for a consultation, which he deserves. I'll tell you why. And when I spoke to his staff, they basically said that this flap was basically like the Cadillac of hair transplants back in the day, that you would get a completely full frontal hairline. And that Dr. Fisher had it done, and I saw his pictures. I saw him on television. He looked incredible. I walked into the office, had a consultation, really nice guy, and he pulled my hair back and he said, listen, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to try to sell you something in this industry. Now, this is a plastic surgeon. He wasn't a hair guy necessarily, but he did this flap. He said, let me tell you the downsides of this surgery if it doesn't work out for you. And he explained that you could have full necrosis. If it doesn't work out, if the tissue dies, you're going to have to wear a hairpiece for the rest of your life. And he said while there is room to place this flap, and then while he had it done himself, he would not touch me. And then if anyone would touch me, then I should really consider their motives. And it took me a trip out to Southern California to visit this wonderful plastic surgeon who is now world famous in a much different position than when I met him, to realize that I wasn't crazy initially, to realize that I wasn't wrong in making the decision not to move forward with something. It wasn't right to perform surgery on a young guy like me who was just really starting to see his hair changing. But there were so many people willing to do that. There are guys out there who have been burned so bad, guys my age, who made the wrong decisions, who lived their lives, who lived a very different life than I've lived because I made the right decision. And the thing is, with all the information that's out there today, there are still young guys who are going to make the wrong decision tomorrow. Even though the techniques are far superior, even though flap surgery is, for the most, should be a thing of the past, it's still there. But most younger guys now probably won't consider it unless they just kind of read an ad in the back of like a muscle magazine. I don't even know if Garth Fisher performs that type of surgery anymore. But I will tell you that his looked incredible, and it changed his life, so I could see why he wanted to get involved in it. So for all you young guys out there who are on the message forums, who are getting information from all these different sources, just fucking step back and realize that, the decisions you make today will affect the rest of your life. Don't take this information that I give you lightly. 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this? All right, he hung up. Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this?
Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, this is Brian from L.A.
Hey, Brian, man. How are you?
All right. How's your phone lines doing today?
Well, it seems like the phone lines are working pretty well. You're probably going to fuck them up. But,
I know, I always do.
Can you hear me?
I was listening.
Can you hear me okay?
You're coming in pretty good. Yeah, I got you.
All right, good.
I got you good. I was listening to what you and George were talking about with women and all that stuff, and I just kind of wanted to throw my hat in the ring and agree with you guys. And I know a lot of guys out there listening to this phone call. I don't know what I envision if there's some people locked up in a room who are just depressed as all hell over their hair and everything. But you gotta be confident. I mean, you gotta think about any woman you've ever seen out there who's been beautiful and had slunched over shoulders and dragged their feet with flip flops. They didn't look as impressive.
That's right.
You put some 6-inch heels. They straighten their back out. Their heads are straight, and all of a sudden they go from a 7 to like a 9.
Absolutely.
And that's confidence. And that's just posturing. That's just posturing. That has nothing to do with the way you talk, the way you become assertive with people. And women like that. Like in a way, women are a little bit more cracked up than men. They're a little bit more shallow, but in many ways they're not. Like I met lots of women. I'm a good-looking guy, but I mean, at least so I'm told. But I've met lots of women who probably are above my pay grade, who went down with me, who enjoyed my personality.
That's right.
And just like when you go to the gym to work your muscles out, and if you're a runner, you run every day, you get faster, you can go, a longer distance, a better time. Your personality and your confidence is the same way. You got to work on it. If you're losing it up there, work on it inside. Just like you always talk about your brother and what a great personality, and you'd never know that his hair loss or his height affected him.
That's right.
And he because he was a master with his personality. And you can accomplish anything with that. So don't sit there and think you have to have Brad Pitt's looks and his money to land hot chicks, because those hottest chicks, as we talked about before, are very insecure themselves.
The hotter the chick in my world, in my life, the hotter the chick, it always seems to be these girls are more insecure than you could ever imagine. And it's probably because, they had so much attention because of their looks, and they feel like, maybe they're getting older, or, whatever it is, like they're just not, they need to keep up with what they think that their worth is. A lot of these really beautiful girls think they're only worth something. They're only valuable because of their looks. And if there's something that's missing or something that is not equal to someone they see in a magazine or on television or someone they're working with, it fucks them up, man. It really fucks them up. So many hot women are so insecure. And they want attention just like anybody else.
And it goes with us. Like, I'm not saying that losing your hair is not an insecurity and it doesn't affect your confidence and stuff. I'm saying you got to learn to look past it. You got to really get out there. I mean, like, we're not blowing smoke up anybody's ass here. It's like, you can make this work for you, and it's not the end of the world. We say that 100 times. I've said it. You said it. I've heard George say it. But it is. We want to fix to it for sure. But you do have to live your life. Like, God bless Joe, but I mean, what he's doing with his life is he's wasting his time for something that may never come. Unfortunately, may never come. When there's so many days you can stop, smell the roses, walk on a beach, and do the things that make life what life is. And I like, part of the process is acceptance. I mean, maybe there's some rare cases, but there's a reason why your hair doesn't fall out in one day.
Right.
And I think it's more than just you get used to it. You lose like 600 and you're thinking about the last 100, not the 500 before it,
That's right, yeah.
And it's gradual. You got to learn to accept it. And I'm telling you, for all of us, the moment we start worrying about it and we start looking at it and think about it, it's scary as hell. And it can put you through a shock. But I can tell you, without a shadow of a doubt, if you talk about it, call into the show, express your feelings, find one person in your life that you can talk about. Find a buddy who's also losing his hair. That's great. You guys go and walk down the park together and talk about how much it sucks, and then you guys feel like a camaraderie, like you're not alone, and you guys learn to deal with it. And the more that you bring it out, like I got this girl that has been a friend of mine for a long time, and we have sex and we talk a lot, and I let her know. I started doing Rogaine. I put on finasteride. And she always tells you, you're crazy. You're not. It's kind of like you with Andrew I forgot his name.
Zarian.
Andrew
Zarian.
Zarian.
Yeah.
Yeah. How it's like she thinks I'm being psychosomatic. I'm not. I mean, I truly am. It's thinning out in different areas.
Sure.
And stuff. She just trying to be nice. But the more we talk about it, the more I'm comfortable with it. And like she's like looking at other people. She's all, look at what is that guy's name? Magic Mike guy. What is his name?
Yeah, I know his name, but he's losing his hair.
Chad.
Yeah.
Yeah, Channing Channing.
Yeah.
I call him Channing Tatum.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's he's losing his hair. A lot of people are out there losing their hair. They're covering it up or something, and that's in the limelight. That's an actor. That's somebody who we're paying money to see, to look beautiful and to sound beautiful and to turn women on. And some women just dig it. Why? Because they live into that fantasy of his characters on screen, which are usually confident. Almost every character on screen, even if they're a broken character, at some moment has redeeming qualities. Unless it's a
look. Let me tell you something. If he constantly played this crazy sad sack, and as good looking as he is, and as ripped as he is, they would probably not be. I mean, there's going to be. Listen, he's a good looking guy, but if they made him up to be disheveled and just not take care of himself and slouch and all that stuff, he would not have the same status in the in the world that he has right now. Even though he has a great looking face. So I think you're 100% right. I think, confidence means so much. And everyone's, these young guys are like, confidence is bullshit. That, it's all, everyone says confidence. You know what? Confidence may not get you all the looks in the club or all the looks in the bar, but in time, if you get your foot in that door, that confidence and that sense of humor and that ability to show your worth to to these people, to women, is what's going to get you the woman, and basically you're the guy who's going to keep the woman. So it's not just based on looks.
Exactly right.
You are, and I tell guys this all the time, and the younger guys. I don't know how old are you now?
39.
39. Okay, so but the real young guys, the 20-year-olds, the 21-year-olds, they are so convinced that is not the way the world works. And they are so fucking wrong. You know why? Because they're still focusing on TMZ and Us Magazine and all the shit that's out there and all the shit the media feeds us. And they are unable to concentrate on the reality of life and just going out there and developing themselves and becoming better people. Women fucking dig that. And you know what? I would say that I have a few friends who are really extra good looking. And I would say the majority of people that I hang out with are just kind of average, decent, good looking enough. The guys who are really awesome looking have nice looking wives. Nothing wrong with them. But it seems like the less, the less than stellar looking guys or the average looking guys who do well in life seem to have the hottest wives. And that is consistent across the board. You work in a restaurant. You probably see that every day.
Exactly. I mean, not only that, but when I date, I've had 3 supermodel, hot dates, right? And I can't bond with these chicks, man. I cannot bond with them at all. I talk to them, and they're either, they got this mentality where they're going to manipulate you and twist you into, making you feel like you got to grovel for them, and I don't placate to it. And guess what happens? Because they see my confidence, I don't play to their shit games, and I am, a generally pleasant and funny guy to hang around with. They end up, I turn the tide on them. They grovel towards me, but then I lose interest. And the girls that I really go for are kind of like these 7, sometimes 8, but usually around 6.5 to 7.5 kind of lookers. But they're just great women who turn me on with their personality. They make me laugh. They make me feel comfortable. I can do whatever I want to do. And, it's just, that is how I feel. I know I feel that way. Not every guy. Every guy is just like, I want a pair of tits, And
let me tell you, in the end, after the first couple of months, if you are, it doesn't matter what they look like. I mean, there's for every supermodel, there's a guy who doesn't want to fuck her anymore. That's just the way that it is. You want to be with someone that you enjoy, that is attractive enough, that turns you on. And let me tell you something. After 5 or 6 years, things change considerably. I've been with the same woman for almost 14 years. And we have probably, I'm not going to, it's hard for me to compare to other people's relationships, but in my mind, we have an incredible relationship. We have a great physical relationship, a great emotional relationship, a trust that, it's a bond that you just cannot imagine. Most guys who are not in a long-term relationship like this can never even imagine. And, who knows? I have no idea what's going to happen down the line. But as of, today, it's been the best experience of my life. And, that's what counts in life. It's not just, the notches in your belt or how many women give you looks in the supermarket or in a club or whatever it is. It's about finding a person and enjoying your life with that person and, developing a life not just based on your appearance. And fucking people don't get that, man. Young guys especially.
If you guys are in the mirror looking at your head all day, that's all that you're going to be, is that disheveled kind of insecure person, and you're going to go out and carry that with you. If you try to make do with what you got and work on that personality and that confidence, and at first it's going to be a show. You're going to be like, acting more confident than you actually feel. But after a while, it will be ingrained into your personality, and you will actually develop those skills, and women are drawn to it. And like you're saying with your what do you call it, the in-law or by law, I can't
common law wife. Common law wife.
Common law wife.
Right.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
With your common law, you guys have you were able to find somebody above all that other minutia, all the looks and all that other stuff. She's an attractive woman. I've seen her myself.
Right.
But like you found the meat and what's important, what can sustain a healthy relationship. Because honestly, like, that's what's important. That is what's important.
Listen, initially I was obviously attracted to her looks, and she's significantly younger than me, and most people find her to be pretty beautiful, and even when she just goes out without makeup, she's like, she's very, very, physically attractive. However, and this is most guys probably couldn't say this. I admire this person. If God forbid something happened to her, if she was, in a terrible accident, whatever it is, I really believe that I wouldn't stay with her just out of pity. I would, if all the looks were taken away, I would want to be with her because of the person that she is. And that is, that's what's important in life. And people, young guys especially, don't get that.
I got to tell you, you'll probably agree with me. It's really nice to wake up next to a woman to where your pillowcases don't look like the Joker sat down and took a nap,
That's true. Well, my pillowcase might actually, because of the makeup I have in my head. But she wears basically no makeup. I mean, once in a while she puts, when we go out, to like a nightclub or even a restaurant, she'll go completely barefaced. But she'll put some eye makeup on and, do her hair, and she looks like a fucking knockout. But most of the time she walks around just in regular, like a flannel shirt, whatever it is, no makeup on her face, and she looks amazing to me, And
there's so many women that they can't even walk, like they can't even let you look at them inside their own home without makeup, and it's like such a turnoff. It is like such a turnoff. Like
these women they go outside, they go to the world, they're wearing a fucking mask on their face, and that's what and a lot of these women, they're judgmental about our hair loss. They're judgmental with the fact that we want to do something about our hair loss, but they walk out in the world and they will not leave their homes without a fucking mask on their face.
All right, so I got to tell you a story that happened to me today. So this is it kind of rolls with confidence. It kind of rolls with all this stuff that we're talking about. I went and got STD check today. I do it kind of regularly just to be safe out here.
Sure.
And I go to get checked, and if you go, they have these places where you can go for free and stuff. You really can't choose unless it's your own doctor who it is that's going to check you out. And I go to this place, and this beautiful girl comes into the room, and like, this is the girl who's going to be juggling my manhood, in the next 10 seconds, And I'm like, and I have no problem saying this because, when it's time to get down and dirty in the bedroom, I'm respectful. I'm not oversized, but I'm respectful.
Right.
But when I am in my flaccid state, I am ridiculously small. Like, it's embarrassing.
I would say that the vast majority of guys are like that, but they won't admit it. But go ahead.
Well, this is so like things run through your mind. You're like, should I start thinking nasty thoughts? Give myself a little bit of blood pressure down there? I don't know. But I said, you know what? I said, fuck it. Okay, I'm going to just let this chick do her job. And I made a joke. I said, wow, you had to be beautiful too, And she's all, it's all right. If it's any consolation, I've seen, many of these. And I'm like, yeah, I know you have.
Right.
And she's sitting here and she's talking about what's going on, if there's any abnormalities and all that stuff, and telling me stuff. And she asked me if I'm on any medications or anything. And I'm sitting there going, oh, great. Now I got to tell her I'm on finasteride,
right.
And but I said, you know what? It doesn't matter. And I'm wearing a baseball cap, right? And I go, I'm on finasteride. And she looks at me and she goes, why? You see those eyes start to go up
Sure.
your eyebrows, and you're like, and I immediately took off my hat, showed her my hair, and I said, I'm getting a little older, and I'm out here doing the acting thing, so I wanted to make sure my hair. And she goes, "You're not going bald." And I'm like, I'm losing it a little bit. I don't know if it's a mature hairline, but it was enough to make me get honest, see what it'd do for me. She goes, "Oh, okay." Boom, we're off. And we're having this, connection. I don't think she's into me by any means, but, I mean, it was a nice connection,
Sure.
It could have been so much more uncomfortable for me, and she is a doctor, and maybe some people would argue, hey, that's their job. But trust me, she knew just as much as I do that I was looking at her in an attractive way, and this thing was going on, and I would say, I'm not going to let her see that, that kind of side of me. After that, it seemed like every other nurse in the place had said hi to me, and no one had said anything to me after that. But after that, every nice nurse came up to me, said hi to me, smiled to me, talked to me and said, "Oh, you're back," blah, 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 which I've never seen them before.
There you go.
And I knew she was going around telling people stuff.
Right.
I mean, it's just one of those things that happened. And I don't know what she said. I can't pretend to know. But I know that everybody started treating me different in there. And it could have been a lot worse. I could have let it ruin my day. I could have sit there and go, "Oh my God, that was the most embarrassing thing. I got groped by a beautiful girl in my flaccid state. We talked about finasteride. I showed her my hair, all that stuff." But I didn't. I walked out of there and I felt good about it.
And she probably thought to herself, "This guy's really cute. He's very confident." She did not care the fact that you were, flaccid. You were built like a light switch. It doesn't matter. All these fucking guys. And I see it on our message forum. They're talking about having to have a big, prick and all this stuff. It's so, listen, in our society, it's almost like it's joked about, whatever it is. But I'm telling you, women in general, real women couldn't fucking care less about that stuff. They want to know what's between your fucking ears. Guys don't understand that. Yeah, you know what? I mean, really all that notion is perpetuated for the most part by men and by pornography and all that stuff. So women think they have to, they kind of joke about it. And there was recently a so-called study where they kind of showed images of different body types, men with different types of bodies and different size flaccid penises. And according to the study, most women were attracted to certain body types with not necessarily larger penises, but more average as opposed to smaller penises. But the truth of the matter is, it was a very, very, and no pun intended, small study, and it had nothing to do with sex or arousal or anything like that. And it really had to do with what people's, learned perception is about the way other people look. But in general, in the bedroom, stuff like that, none of it means a fucking thing. So I thought it was interesting.
The funny thing is,
go ahead.
I've been with women, sexually, who, they enjoyed me, right?
Of course.
And then I come across a couple where I don't know if it's a chemistry thing, or maybe I'm not large enough. Maybe they're used to a large man. Some girls are like that. Who knows? But then I'll come across the girls that'll be like, "Oh my God, it's big, it's big." And the first thing I say in the bedroom, right in front of the face, I go, "It's not big."
Right.
I go, "It's not that big." I go, "It's just average." They go, "No, you're large. You're large." And I'm like, you don't have to play to my ego. I don't have one. Just, it becomes like a discussion in bed. And I don't know if it's their physicality or my physicality, or if they're just trying to make me feel better, or if it's the way I handle myself. They feel like it's a strong person. I kind of tend to think that it could be a mixture of the two, of somebody trying to, make you feel good in the bedroom.
Well, that's what I think. I think they want to make. I think they want to make you feel good, and it feels good for them. So they figure, what the fuck, they want to make. But it's all such not, dude. If that were the case, people wouldn't be built differently. It's not like, okay, this segment of the population is built to have great sexual relations, and this segment isn't. That's just not the way it works. Everyone is different sizes and shapes. It really is about what's between your ears. And it's important that people understand that. But you know what? Again, try to talk to the young guys about this. They don't know shit, and they think much differently. But listen, dude, I appreciate the call. I need to take a couple more calls before I close up shop.
No problem. I do want to say before you get off, just to all those people, I encourage you to call the show. Talk to Spencer. Talk to some, who knows, talk to Joe, whatever. But let your voice be heard. Let yourself verbalize what your ailments are, like what's on your head. It feels better. It helps. or at least, at the very least, find somebody in your life that you can talk to. And this is for the people who are either A, like Joe, or worse than Joe. You got to get out there and find that common bond, and you got to be able to deal with it. If you don't deal with it, it's going to rule your world, and you don't want that.
Listen, dude, well said. I appreciate the call, and there will be a time when I go back to that restaurant and look you up. All right, man.
Oh, I don't want to pest you. I just wanted to welcome you back. But I'm not telling you. Do your thing, man. I'll see you when I see you.
Dude, I appreciate it, man. Take care.
All right, you too.
Right,
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. 888-659-3727. We'll go a few minutes over to take a couple of extra calls. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hey, sorry, man. It's George. I called back just to listen. What was that guy's name who just called?
He calls himself Brian from Los Angeles. He's actually a guy that...
He's a friggin' great caller, isn't he?
He's awesome. He's actually a guy that he was a fan of the show. I go to this steakhouse in Los Angeles that he happens to work at. He waited on me in common law and didn't say a fucking word until...
I remember you talking about that once before, but that guy's just amazing. He's such a cool guy and has such a great attitude.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy, man. He really is.
Well, anyway, sorry I didn't mean to pop in. In fact, I hung up on you earlier because you took my call the second time. I just wanted to hang out and listen.
All right, man, I'll put you on hold.
Thanks.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this? Hey, man, what's up? Who's this?
Hey, Spencer, this is Rob again, the Chilean.
Oh, hey, man, what's up?
Hey, not much. Just want to thank you and say the young guys around 25 years old, just keep the home faith, and everything in life can be better and always can be worse. And if I have to say something to young guys that are using finasteride and they are not seeing any side effects, yes, I will say keep using it, man, and don't think about on those comments that people is writing on internet, on the basement, and who knows if it's true, who knows if they are trolls or whatever. I'm not saying that people doesn't have it, but you have to live your life and take the chances that you have to the best that you can.
Well, listen, man, I think that's really reasonable advice. That's great advice. And, coming from a guy who chose to stop based on the words of others as opposed to your personal experience, I think that goes a long way because, like you said, you probably would not have needed surgery at this stage if you continued using the drug. And the only reason you decided to stop it is based on, whatever was being written on the internet, as opposed to your experience.
I don't want to bitch and whine, but I don't have regrets. I always take my choices, and if I have something that I didn't really feel confident with it, and I just turn the page and go for the next possible solution for something that is not making me happy, and just trying to find happiness the way that I can. I mean, only one life. Is the only one life?
And that's the way it is, man. You get that's what we're all trying to find happiness, man. And that's what this is all about. Yeah. Listen, man, thanks for calling back. I appreciate that.
Thanks, sir.
All right, take care.
Take care.
All right, guys. Let me take another call, and then we're going to close up shop. So I'm going to say goodnight to Joe and close up. Hey, who's this? You're on the air.
Hello?
Yeah, hi. What can I do for you?
Hi. It's Steve from Toronto.
Hey, Steve. What's up?
Oh, lots. A bit nervous. First time getting through.
Listen, I get it.
Going on.
I get it. Don't be nervous.
Love the show.
Thank you. Don't be nervous. It's just you and me talking on the phone, so don't worry about it.
Yeah. Mazel tov on your birthday.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Love the show. I also listen to the Free for All a lot. Anyhow, I don't know where to start because I've got confidence. I've been through 2 surgeries, a divorce, kids, finasteride. It's just a ton of stuff.
Well, all right, let's start with this. How old are you, and how long have you been losing your hair?
I probably started losing my hair around the age of 27. I'm 36 now.
Okay.
That's around sort of when I really started to notice it. And, I got married, and I was fine with it, started shaving it. It was a bit annoying, but, went with it. And, always kind of bothered me, but I was married and had kids and whatnot, and not enough to do something about it.
Sure.
I just kind of lived my life, And a little while back, a couple of years ago, kind of my wife was acting a bit weird, and turns out she ended up having an affair.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, listen, shit happens,
That's right.
Shit happens, but I think that really sort of, played on my confidence a lot. I kind of felt like, I'm not that attractive.
I get it.
Well, I take care of myself. I work out. But
just to put it out there, man, it could happen to any. I mean, that could happen to the best-looking, hottest guy in the world. If a woman wants to stray, she's going to stray.
Yeah. Well, it happened, and it's tough. I'm dealing with it now. It still affects every day of my life. But, the hair thing was really, really kicking me in the nuts, and I just didn't feel attractive because I had to go back out there again, and I haven't been out there in years because I was with this girl since I was 21,
Yeah, sure.
And I did the mistake that sort of, you go through on your show and you've mentioned before, and I was one of those guys that, although I really do my due diligence, I only learned more about it after I sort of stepped into it.
Right.
And I was one of those guys that kind of came across the website, came across the Bald Truth, and just kind of like, looked around a little bit, not much, did some basic research, and I went to a doctor, not a member of yours.
Right.
After the procedure, I kind of started doing more research. Like how's it going? I was probably about a Norwood 5A. Okay, so I was pretty far along on the Norwood scale.
At what age did you have the first procedure?
My first procedure was just over 2 years ago.
Okay.
About 35.
Now, I'm just curious. So what made you? So you found our resources. What made you kind of just gloss over it and move on?
I guess I didn't do enough research. I was kind of looking for something local.
Right.
And I kind of, from the doctors that I heard about or went to see, it kind of seemed like it was like, you get 3,000 grafts and it's $8,000 and that's it, and everyone sort of seemed to be offering the same.
Right.
And a lot of those, learning after the fact that, distance should not be a factor.
Sure.
I learned that all the second time around, and after I got on, I don't know, I felt like I did enough research, and, somebody I knew went to this guy and they were happy, and I kind of just said, okay, someone's done the work, they were happy, I'll go with it. And, I think I could have ended up a lot worse off than I did. I mean, my scar wasn't too bad, and I don't know about the growth. It wasn't the greatest, it wasn't the poorest, but I think I kind of eluded something that could have been potentially worse based on, a lot of the stuff I've heard and a lot of your callers and things I read on the forums. Like, I can't say I was, I wasn't deformed or anything like that.
Well, that's good.
It was still okay. It did change my life. It did make me feel better, but it wasn't. I don't think I got what I wanted, and I definitely didn't get, the gold standard service. These guys didn't separate the ones, the twos, the threes. They just kind of planted them. So I had some like twos in my hairline. Anyways, as time went on, about 6 months in, 8 months in, I started doing more research, and then I really dug into your site. And I went through and I listened to every single archive show. I learned about everything. I did my research. Being in Toronto, there's a couple docs that are not too far. And I ended up going to see Dr. Rahal.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, for my second one. And I had my second procedure October 2012. And, it was a night and day experience, But what led me to that place was your resources. And learning about it was your resources. And I'm probably not one of the only ones. It's like, in some ways, you're like a god to people like me, people that are suffering from hair loss. The amount of help you provide, it's exponentially growing, and I cannot even describe, how thankful people should be for the resources that you provide and the services that you provide. So, given that, I went through all the episodes, I read about it, I heard you mention his name a couple times. It's on he's been on the forums a couple times. He did a lot for me. I had another pretty decent-sized procedure, beautiful scar, unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. But, unfortunately, I'm still not satisfied. I want more.
Well, that's not unusual, and that's the thing about surgical hair restoration is that, once you are in a position where you see, all right, I'm not happy with the way that I look because of my hair loss, and then I have a procedure, and you know what, you're better. You realize, okay, wait a second, this shit works. My hair is growing back, but obviously it's not going to even compare to what you once had. So it's going to take several procedures to get close, but still not to where you were. And that's just a very common phenomenon when it comes to, this type of cosmetic surgery.
Yeah, the thing is, I look at myself in the mirror, and from what I see, it's it's an illusion of a full head of hair. But
right.
I know there's still a spot in the back, and it bothers me, And I'm kind of thinking, oh, what's next? Do I do FUE? I don't want to play with the scar, and Dr. Rahul said if you get a good scar, just leave it alone.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't want to chance it again.
Well, I think that's really good advice. And listen, I am a fan. There, and I'm going to state this clearly. There are people out there online who believe that, I shouldn't really be providing any advice since I have not had surgery myself. There are people out there who somehow believe that, unless you were, in that chair, you have nothing to say. But the truth is, I have spoken with and have met. I've spoken with thousands of patients over the years. I have met quite a few, more than most people will ever meet. And, I have done my research over the years. And, we created these resources. I created the Bald Truth List back in originally 96 and 97. It was the first recommended list ever to be published in the world. No human being, and it's not, and the reason I'm saying this, and I'll let you know in a second, is it's not to toot my own horn, but nobody ever put out or separated good doctors from the not so great doctors and the bad doctors. It was unheard of in any industry. And I did that based on extensive research for myself. And after that research, I realized, I don't need surgery. But people are being fucked up every single day.
Hell yeah.
So when I give this advice, there are certain people out there who may post on message forums, whatever it is, who somehow believe that, Spencer Kobren should not be giving advice because I have never had surgery. The reason I haven't had to have surgery is because I learned early on, and I avoided certain mistakes that a lot of people made.
That's just a ridiculous comment. How many professionals, how many doctors that save lives and perform surgeries on people don't necessarily have the same surgery performed on themselves? It's absurd. Your service and what you provide has saved people from being damaged and destroyed, and I can have witnessed that. That could have easily happened to me my first time around. I'm just thankful that it didn't. But, it's very easy to slip on this, and people do it every single day, despite the resources. But, I meet people, and I tell them about your resources. I say, go to the site, watch every single clip you can watch, and learn, and read everything you can,
I need to say this to you, and I just want to thank you for giving me this today, because there are times that I think to myself, you know what? Because there's some really fucked up people out there who, for whatever reason, are, like I said, say will bring up issues like I should not be giving advice, whatever it is. And I listen to people like you, and I realize that, all the work that we put into this over the years has really paid off The fact that we've really been able to help people like you and thousands of more people. It means a lot to me. I want to thank you for calling the show tonight. I really do.
You should toot your own horn because you deserve it. You know what I mean? You've done a lot. I just want to touch on another thing quickly.
Go ahead.
And I want to talk about finasteride. And I'm currently on it, and I've been on it a little over a year now. And you know, I was shit scared just like everybody else to get on it because you know, I read everything on the forums and everything on any site that you could possibly imagine. You know, and but I listened to enough shows and I did my research on the drug, and what I did, and I even asked the doctors about it, and you know, they kind of said, you know, listen, at your stage, you know, the benefit is not as great as it would have been maybe several years ago, but it doesn't mean it can't help you still. But
Right.
it's not as great,
Sure.
you know, because you've lost most of your hair that you're going to lose. But you know what I did, and it helped me a lot. And I'm saying this because I want people to maybe consider this because you know, I know a lot of people are still sort of iffy about it. And what I did is, one, I did get my DHT levels checked. I did a blood test. I got it checked, and as expected, they were high. They were very high, more than double the norm. So I decided, okay, that's a good sign for me. You know, that's another good reason for me to take the drug because I just want to get to a normal state. Whether it's going to help my hair or not, at least let my body get to its normal state of DHT. And what I did is I really took my time with it, and I took a very low dosage, you know, and incrementally throughout a week, throughout probably a 3 to 6 month period. I slowly built up, I guess, let's say, a tolerance for it. I took it maybe like a twice a week. Maybe I took.
So you basically weaned your body onto it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? And now I'm taking 1.25 milligrams a day. It doesn't affect me. I'm an animal right now.
Right.
I sometimes I feel sorry for my girlfriend.
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just it's uncontrollable right
Yeah.
now. Like it hasn't affected me whatsoever.
Dude, I'm 48 years old, and this is, you know, again, maybe this is too much information, but I have been on this drug for 20 years. And the only difference that I feel is the fact that I'm a little heavier, and, you know, maybe my cardio is not quite as great as when I was 21 years old. But as far as the urge and the ability, it hasn't changed at all since that time. So,
no, if
you know,
anything, it's actually stronger now, and I don't know. Maybe that also has to do with sort of, you know, going through what I went through as well. But
right.
the impact of there's been no known impact that I've actually been able to actually tell that something has changed in my body in any particular way. There's nothing that I could just nothing. I just take the pill and nothing, and I live my life. And you know, I just want to give that advice to people that, you know, if you're iffy about it, maybe you want to take a blood test, check your levels. And if your levels are high, then maybe you just want to get them to a normal state. And maybe it's just a matter of getting your body used to it and doing it really slowly and be patient with it. But don't discard the drug itself for what you hear. Okay, I mean, because you can hear stories from either side. It's what you choose to listen to.
And you know what?
There's bad.
Yeah.
But this is my experience, and this is how I dealt with it, and it worked well for me.
And
I think I'm starting to see some benefit from it too.
That's so important for people to hear. That's so important. What's the benefit that you're saying?
Well, I do feel like, you know, that there is some in my crown area, there was nothing. There is something going on there, and you know, I'm also on minoxidil as well. But you know, it.
Look, man, this drug changed everything for me. There's no doubt in my mind, and you know what? I'm not here to push people to get on finasteride. I like to tell my story without being beaten up for it. I like to
That must be tough for you.
talk about my experience without people. Basically, I've had my life threatened, and this is not, it's not exaggeration. Online, I've had my life threatened for being honest about my financial ideas, for telling people how successful that I've been on this drug. It is fucking insane out there. But all I can tell you is that in my world, in my personal life, and my friends and the people that I've counseled personally, no one has had any adverse side effects, and everyone has really appreciated the fact that they got on the drug early enough to really do something for themselves. And when
That's
I see,
the only thing I wish I did.
and I understand that. When I see these young guys who are willing to do anything to avoid finaster ideas, I think to myself, God, I mean, I get it. I certainly get it, but don't you know you're wasting your fucking time? That, just if you don't want to use the drugs that work for sure, then shave your head. And again, nothing works for sure, but that's proven to work. Shave your head, move on with your life, and learn how to deal with life as, without hair. I think that's the best option for anybody anyway, if they can.
And you know what? I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. That's the best option for anybody. If you're going bald and you could just shave your head and walk away, and I agree with a lot of stuff that was said tonight. If you just have confidence, I mean, the girlfriend I have right now, she says she said she wishes I never even had a hair transplant.
Yeah.
Because she thought I looked great, as a bald man.
Sure.
And the shaved look. And I wasn't as obsessed about it.
Right. I could see that. Once you go under the knife, you're always looking for the kind of the next fix. Okay, I've gotten this far. I need more. And I tell guys that all the time. However, you had a good experience with Dr. Hall. You decide to get more. I'm sure you're going to have another great experience. And you might get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm satisfied. That does happen. A lot of guys think that doesn't happen, but it does happen for many.
That's what I'm kind of worried about, is that I'll never be satisfied until I have it all back. And that's why I'm still obsessed about it. That's why I'm on the forums every day reading and trying to learn and hanging on to the next thing. Oh, when is this new procedure coming out? What's happening with Repicel, Histogen, and it's like, I'm obsessed about it.
Honestly, dude, I'm going to tell you that it is best. And listen, it's great that all you guys traffic the forum. It's wonderful that you made us the most trafficked forum in the world. That's incredibly valuable for what I do. It's wonderful. My advice is don't go to the fucking forums. Maybe once a month, once every 2 months, check in to see what's happening. Do not be obsessive. Stay away from it. Now, from a business standpoint, from everyone would say I'm crazy to say that. Just like I tell people not to have hair transplants. But no one's going to listen to me about that. They're going to do what they want to do.
That's right.
You
know what? But I like that. I like that you tell people, because I feel like you're being honest. Stay the fuck away from the forums. Go away. Don't get a hair transplant. If you can just leave, turn this program off right now.
Right.
And walk away and shave your head and live your life. That's the best thing you can do. And you tell people that straight up, And you also tell people that you make money from the surgeons you recommend. You don't recommend hair transplants. You've never had one. You're as honest as can be.
So why do I still get so much shit?
Listen, because you've got a powerful position. I think that's just the fact of the position you're in. It doesn't matter what you do, where you are, and you've got a lot of power still.
Yeah,
you've got a lot of followers, and for that, people are jealous and they're envious. And no one, you're always going to have a hater that way. Haters.
Well, listen, dude, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your call tonight. You have, I do my best to try to, provide an uplifting experience for people who tune into this program, to provide them with the best information I can possibly provide them with. You provided me with a lot tonight, besides my listeners, and I want to thank you for calling in.
Yeah, thanks for everything you guys do. I'll definitely call again. There's so much racing through my mind, and there's so much to say, but what you provided to me is invaluable, and what you provide to others, is much of the like. And I think just keep doing what you're doing, and there's a lot of people out there that are are greatly benefiting it from it. I mean, I am personally. The only challenge I have is staying away from it.
Well, you know what? That is a challenge, but I would advise you to, stay away as much as you can. And just to let you know, I will be letting the admins and the mods know when we're going to be doing live shows. So they'll be announced. Since you're a forum person, it'll be announced in the forums. I'm not going to be going live every Tuesday like I used to, but I would love for the next time we go live for you to call in and finish your story.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right, man. Take care.
Take care.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Let's say goodnight to Joe. I've run a half an hour past tonight. Joe.
What the hell's going on here? You let all these foreigners and these racists take my airtime, man?
Who's a racist?
No, these people call me a racist. Let me just
No, he was, dude, the guy was being funny.
I'm just kidding. You know, that's it. All right, so the bottom line is you'll be notifying all two people via email, and you'll be posting the next time you're live on the air. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, but if we have breaking special news coming out, I'm sure you'll immediately be on the air with it. Am I correct in that?
Absolutely. It's possible that I could be live on a Monday or on a Saturday afternoon or whatever. If there's something that's breaking news, you're not going to have to wait for a Tuesday anymore. If I'm here in my studio in Los Angeles, or even if I'm in New York, just on my laptop, we'll make it work.
Do you please have your staff notify me immediately, Spencer? You have my home phone number and my cell number, as you know.
Dude, you know that. You really...
But just hang up for my wife answers the phone because she might say nasty things.
All right, guys. Listen, Joe, man, thanks so much for hanging out.
Spencer, until we speak next time, man, I applaud your decision, man. I can't say I'm happy, but I do respect and applaud your decision.
Well, I appreciate that. Guys, let me give out the websites, thebaldtruth.com for archived broadcasts of The Bald Truth, and also for Bald Truth segments, special segments and interviews that we're going to be putting up. Tomorrow we should be putting up a couple of segments from the latest interview with Dr. Rolf Hoffman and David Hall from Replicel. Some interesting stuff, in my opinion. And also, I will be interviewing supposed to be interviewing Dr. John Cole about, a lot of the stuff that's circulating about donor hair regeneration, to kind of get his opinion about the reality of that and other stuff that I think you guys would find interesting. So we'll put that up online shortly. Again, we'll not be doing the live show every Tuesday night anymore. However, we'll be going live a couple of times a month. And if there's any breaking news like Joe just alluded to, I'll absolutely go live and I'll alert all you guys about the live broadcast. But we will be putting out recorded broadcasts and interviews, probably more content than we did when we normally do, just because I think that, as we're evolving, I think, and as the internet evolves, I think that it's important to kind of evolve with it. So we're going to be putting out more content online. Website's thebaldtruth.com. If you want to interact on our message forums, go to baldtruthtalk.com. But again, please take everything on any message forum with a grain of salt. Do your own due diligence. And if you're considering surgery, please remember it's a last resort. But if you're considering it, check out the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons, ihrs.org. That's, in my view, that should always be your first step. Obviously, all IHRS members pay an annual screening fee, like the last caller discussed. And if you want to get some really good basic information about hair loss, obviously check out the American Hair Loss Association website, americanhairloss.org. The American Hair Loss Association is the hair loss content providers for WebMD and many other online resources, health resources on the internet. Until next time, be strong, God bless, and thank you so much for listening.